Yo, what up, dude?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not bad. I'm excited to hear about how the last thing we talked about went for you over the last couple of weeks.
I like it. I like the build order. I like the feeling of winning games like that. It feels like you made your opponent really anxious and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. I do have some problems. I feel like I have a replay today, and sometimes I feel like when I can't get much when doing aggression, I keep just giving up units and then in the end just lose the game. So I picked a replay and hope you could, have a look at it,
sure.
see what I'm missing.
Okay, that sounds good. I would say before we even look at it, what I imagine this is like very, very common problems people run into, and it's like things they have
Mhm.
to like think about how to like approach the situation differently if you're not getting your damage done that you're looking for. And one of the biggest things is there's two
Oh,
things. The most obvious one
yeah.
is the better
Five
your
people, you.
the better your macro is, obviously, with your micro, and you're like trying to multitask. That's going to be a given. Like you have to have like a baseline that is like being effective, and it's not like when you attack you have 2,700 resources in the bank and you're like, oh shit, well I forgot to spend that. So there's always a macro multitasking baseline. But realistically, when you're attacking somebody, this is the one that people mess up a lot. You need to create an opportunity rather than force an opportunity, if that makes sense. Like it's like we talked about push and pull before, but like sometimes just to take it one step further on that method, sometimes you need to like assume, make your opponent assume you're going to engage because like your army is approaching his base, he's preparing to defend it, and then you don't do it. Like you attempt, but you don't actually commit. You disengage, and you repeat the process in a different location, and you do it again and again and again, and eventually, if your opponent is not keeping up with everything you're doing and trying to defend everything you're doing, especially if they're on the ground and you're in the air, because you're using, let's say, like medevacs, you can actually create opportunities to do that because the first one might be bad, the second one might be bad, and then suddenly the third one's actually open and you're going to do damage. So when we watch a replay, I'm going to be looking for something like that a lot and seeing if you just kind of like force it to happen repeatedly and losing your, like throwing your units to death when you could have like uh, kept them alive longer and like created opportunities that could make them have to like run around a lot more. Your opponent, that is.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll definitely look at it and see what's going on. So I guess whenever you're ready, just toss that replay in Discord, and I can share the screen again. We can hit it up.
You see it? Oh, I didn't send it. Okay.
Okay. I am sharing my screen right now. StarCraft. There we go. Okay.
I'm the with a lot of P's.
You're the what? You're the one with a lot of P's.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. TvT. Let's see what you're doing. TvT also is, I would say, the matchup that has the most technical micro for Terran, honestly. Like, for, like, your average game. It's not just as simple as, like, saying, oh, I'm going to split against, like, Banelings. Or I'm going to, like, EMP Protoss. Or something like that. Like, it's... There can be situations where, like, having to break an opponent's tank line when you both have a tank line is actually, also kind of... It just takes time and meticulousness. Okay, so far, your build's fine. No problems with it at the moment. And just for the sake of, like, I'm just kind of like giving you, like, you're looking at your build like a roughly, and it all looks like it's fine so far. I haven't really been staring at things like this, like if your command center is not pumping. And I would say, like, okay, so here's actually something you're doing that we'll talk about this really fast. So you scout with an SCV, which is totally fine. I'm down with this. This is all good. You're getting into his base. You're seeing what's going on. There's no natural yet, but you don't have one yet either. You see his SCV is coming down to the natural. Yours is also coming down to the natural right now. So you guys are both mirroring each other, essentially. And then you see a insta reactor on his barracks, and you are making a unit. So this right here could be for 2 Reapers at once when this reactor is over. It could be for Marines after it's over or whatever. But there is no factory next to it, and if this was going to be for Hellions, it would need to be factory first. So it shouldn't be. This should not make you think Hellions if it ever did. It should definitely make you think, okay, either double Reaper or double Marine. And I would never recommend this build that much to people in general, because if you actually just decided this game to go, I'm going to proxy 2 racks Reaper you right there. Just because. If you did that, you would instantly win the game. Because you would be making Reapers in his base before his Reapers are even started being made. Because he's waiting for the fucking reactor now, which is going to be a long time. So this build's super risky. He's like hoping you don't proxy racks him. Anyways, you get to his base, you scout. You see 1 gas, you saw what looked like a natural, and then you see a reactor on the barracks, and as you leave his base, you confirm that there's a natural. So your response to this was making a bunker. And what ends up happening is or did you make a bunker? Or did you...
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I'm going to watch your command center now. I want to watch your CC for a sec. Because I think you missed like multiple rounds of SCVs too. Like right here, 157.
Command center upgrade complete.
It was like 2 seconds. Not the end of the world, but it's still like 2 seconds though. Definitely want to make sure you're on top of that as much as possible. And then you make another CV, which is good. And then this SCV comes up to build a factory, which is totally fine. This Reaper is chilling. And then you come down with a depot SCV. And this is when I think you make... So 223 your SCV finishes. And this is when I think you make the bunker. You do make the bunker. And now your SCV doesn't start again. For another... That's 6, 7... About 7 seconds went by before you made another SCV. Now, I'm not a big fan of this. Because obviously every second you're wasting on the SCVs. Every time it adds up with... If it happens multiple times... It's just putting you super far behind. So your SCVs are already behind now by like 9 or 10 seconds off the 2 things that I already saw, which is huge because it means you're going to be behind by an SCV for no reason. Like nothing's happened that should make this happen so far. And this guy is not doing anything that should warrant a bunker. The only thing you should ever do about like, if you're going to make a bunker, the only reason why you should feel like you have to make a bunker is if your opponent is opening up with like a crazy aggressive ground frontal attack in any way that's more invested than what you are, and like substantially more. Like if this guy was going for no command center, instantly going like reactor or like a barracks factory combo, and he was gonna have like a lot of units really fast, then a bunker would make sense so your natural doesn't get compromised. But this guy also expanded just like you did, so you definitely don't need a bunker right now. If I've told you to make a bunker before, stop doing that unless you are seeing someone who's deviating from macro and going into full aggression. Like they're double gassing with like fast tech and mass units. Then a bunker's okay while you expand. But if you're both going 1 gas expand, a bunker just slows you down. And now you're behind. Which is just like, it's not the end of the world right now, but there's no reason to get behind right now. So it's just making the game a little bit harder for yourself when it doesn't have to be like that.
If you did the 2 gas Reaper Hellion one, it's okay to make a bunker, is that correct?
So I said it. You should make a bunker if he goes 2 gas Reaper Hellion.
No. I just the reason I made the bunker is because I feel a little bit pressured when opponents are doing that, and I think at this game I just blindly made a bunker to have peace of mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if the opponent is going Reaper Hellion, this build is going to have less stuff when he hits me.
Sure.
That's my general feeling.
Yeah.
I'm
So like okay, so that is overall not like okay. I would agree with you. Because you're again, if correct me, from what we talked about before, this build is going to be you're going to just make Marines and you're going to make like a fast starport, and then you're going to go into a Banshee, right? Or are you going to are you going to switch this into Hellions? I can't remember what you're doing here.
switch to Hellions, Banshee, and then use the factory and starport to make 4 reactors.
Okay, that's sure. Okay, I remember now. I remember. Okay. So if this was actually a really fast factory, then even then, I'm not actually that concerned for you, because all you got to do, okay, like think about it like this. Think about it like this. This guy's build is expansion first, right? You guys are both expanding. So if we look at the timing of your factory and the timing of your natural, we know that the timing of his natural is the same as yours because we saw it already. We don't know the timing of his factory, but we can safely assume that his factory is going to be somewhat near yours. The only thing that would make it more delayed than yours would be if he went double Reaper out of that reactor. And the only thing that would make it slightly faster than yours would be if he made double Marine out of that reactor. Actually, not even. It would be the same speed. Because think about it like this. The Reaper and the reactor are the exact same cost. They both cost 50 gas and 50 minerals. And you made a Reaper and he made a reactor. So you guys invested the same exact amount of resources into this opener of the barracks as each. You guys don't have the exact same things, but you have the exact same investment as each other. And you're doing the exact same opener of one gas expand. So his factory it's impossible for his factory to be faster than yours. The only way it ever could be is if his gas was made before his barracks, but then that would actually throw off his command center timing, like heavily, because that would be like severely slow down his resources. So it would be a thing where like your natural is halfway done and his is like just starting, or like a third of the way, or a fourth of the way. It would be like a 20-second difference or something like that. So the point I'm trying to make here that's important to know is there shouldn't be a window of time where you don't have anything and he can pressure your natural. That shouldn't exist. Assuming that you're macroing and making units and not just letting your building sit there AFK. So if you switched over the reactor factory, like your barracks into the off of the reactor and then switch your factory into the reactor factory, you could actually make Hellions as fast as he does, and you should be 100% okay if you just sit on top of your ramp. So what you could do as well is you could just go, okay, my opponent's expanding and I'm expanding and we're both going for somewhat similar looking builds right now. You could literally just make units and sit on top of your ramp to always give you high ground advantage to shoot him initially when he comes up the ramp, and then never push him until he comes to you first. So you get like counter pushing. And then, or you could push once you have the Banshee. Because if you have the Banshee really fast and he like, let's say you take a bad fight right there, the Banshee could make up the difference and like finish off the remainder. But I hope that makes sense though. Like it's impossible for him to have more units than you. Like if we look at your factory and we look at his factory doesn't even exist. He's actually not even doing a factory build. But even if he was, if we go back to when you made the factory, like watch this shit. You guys have the exact same gas right now, right? And then you're making the Reaper, and he's making the reactor, and you guys have the exact same gas. You guys are like off by like half a second because he's turning in like slightly faster than you are, but it's pretty much the same exact resources. So when you make a factory right here, which is going to be like right about now, you guys would have been able to make a factory like at the exact same time. So then if you think about like he has to make Hellions, like Hellions cross the map, and you don't, you just have to go from here to here. You can always have defender's advantage. You'll always have more. You'll always have line of sight advantage because he can't see up the ramp here. So yeah, all that bunker really did is it honestly just slowed you down. I want to make this not confusing, okay? The last thing I'll say about this before we move on. I'm okay if you make a bunker if your initial scout says no command center, double gas. If that's what you see, you can make a bunker, and that's okay. But if you see one gas command center, do not make a bunker.
That means my SAB needs to linger a while there, right? To check the second command center, because in the standard Rex gas build, the command center is kind of heavily delayed.
If somebody goes for double gas before they make an expansion, they're not going to be taking a command center anytime soon. Like realistically, If someone goes double gas and then they go like barracks factory, they're not just going to be like, well, now it's time to expand. They're going to be like, it's time to make a starport and it's time to do a timing attack. And they're going to probably try to kill you.
Oh, the first build that you gave me, the TvT, the kind of the standard metal.
That one still takes the expansion. You're talking about Reaper, 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that still expands.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the SCV needs to be there for a while to see him expand, because I feel like if I just go...
Just keep this in mind. If the 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion build, it still expands before double gas. That's the point I'm trying to make here. You do not go double gas and then expand. I'm like 99% sure of that. Maybe, am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. But like if like, okay, you can also, you don't have to keep the SCV there entirely either. You can also scout with your Reaper too, because that's what you made it, right? I would actually say you could have scouted most games with your Reaper. No matter what they're doing, you can actually follow up a scout with a Reaper and then try not to lose it, but you can get in and out. Scouting, the only time it's actually kind of scary to scout with a Reaper is if they go reactor like he did right now. And the reason why is because if you made a Reaper, he made a reactor, and as you cross the map, he makes 2 Reapers out of his reactor, and as you get into his base, 2 Reapers pop out. He could, in theory, kill your Reaper if you overcommit into his base and you're like here when his Reapers pop out. And then he just like chases you down and kills you. So that would be a shitty scout for you. But your SCV would tell you that he went reactor first. You're still SCV scouting as well. So you get in and out and you just see what is he doing initially. But like right about now, if you go back here to when your SCV was in his base, like right here, if this dude had double gas already, this dude would be taking a super fast factory and he could not. Okay, actually, you're talking about okay, I remember now. You're talking about the build where he pulls like 3 SCVs off of gas and he expands.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Sorry, I'm with you now. I don't know why I fucking forgot about that. All you got to do then, literally, take your Reaper and just go like this. Reaper, go scout the natural, pop in, pop out, just like pop in like right here and leave. Just poke it. Because if you, at this point in the game, your Reaper doesn't matter anyways. You're not like basing your strategy off of your Reaper. It's just it literally is a scout, and it can help with a little bit of harassment if you get attacked. But at that point, if you're making Banshee and Hellion, again, Banshee, same thing as I said earlier, it really does serve this purpose where if you are not going to be able to win a ground fight for whatever reason, the Banshee has a massive deterrent to that. Like it will, unless he has like a Cyclone with his army, which is really rare, like pushing you right away, that Banshee is going to be worth so much fucking value. It's going to kill shit like crazy. So if like you had like 4 Hellions to his 6 Hellions or something, or if he had 3 Reaper 2 Hellion and you only had 4 Hellion and like he was going to take a better fight than you, you could have that Banshee soon as well, because your build does go to a pretty decently fast Banshee. And also you keep in mind too, you should always have high ground advantage. Never leave your army like right there. Never leave your army like right there, right there. Always leave your army right there. And you can like space it out too, like 1 Hellion, 1 Hellion, 1 Hellion, 1 Hellion. So they're not clumped up either where they get AoE'd. So you're actually cleaving the ramp in like multiple angles. So you're the one getting AoE and you're not getting AoE'd, and you're also shooting first. It'll make your fights go so much better. And for early game openers like that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, going forward, skip it up a little bit. But yeah, that a little bit of a, like we said before, the macro thing where your SCVs kind of stop for a little bit. Being behind like by 2 SCVs now, almost like you're behind by like 1.5 SCVs, because he's making 1 and you're behind by 2 for a second, then you're behind by 1, then 2. That's kind of brutal, that for sure. Okay. So other than bunker you build, and now you're not making SCVs again. Now you're behind by 3. So definitely make sure you're on top of this. This is priority number 1. That's why I was saying like the two things we'll talk about a lot throughout this is definitely one of them is going to always be, not only are you macroing, but are you also macroing during multitask? So are you macroing during scout? Are you macroing during attacks? Are you macroing during add-on swapping? Everything. And if you're not, that needs to change, because being behind by, like, the being behind by supply right now is kind of, it depends on the build you guys are doing, and he's clearly going for a 3 racks, so his supply is going to be fucking inflated because he's making Marauders. But being behind by 3 SCVs, though, when you guys had the exact same opener with command centers, that's not acceptable for you. That is genuine not building shit right there. And your Reaper right now, where is it? Did your Reaper die? Where is it? Oh, it's right there. So you should absolutely rescout with your Reaper, no matter what build he's doing. Try to get some read. Like, so in this game, for instance, okay, you know he has a natural already with the SCV. That's great. Have your Reaper jump in the main and try to see what he's going for. Because this Reaper is, if you wait until, like, let's say 6 minutes and a fight breaks out, this Reaper is going to die in about literally half a second. It's just going to literally be like, hey, dead. It's not going to really do much at all. But it's like its value is so much more in the positive if it actually spots what builds is going to come at you before it does. So, like, for instance, if you actually spotted that he was going for 3 racks opener, you should you could totally make, I know I told you to make only 1 Banshee and you can go further into whatever the hell you want to do after that. Like, you go into like the switch it off, do more add-ons, make more racks, all that stuff like that. You could absolutely, if you spotted that this guy was going for 3 racks bio, he doesn't have factory, he doesn't have starport. He legit, all he's gonna have is Marines and Marauders with Stimpack and possibly Concussive or Combat Shield. It's gonna have Stimpack. It might have another upgrade as well off of the Tech Lab, but it's just gonna be a lot of ground, and it's only gonna be able to attack you from your door. So if you really wanted to fuck this over, you could get creative. Like, you don't have to do this every game, but I just want you to think about this, like objectively. You could do things like make multiple Banshees and get Cloak, and you could actually just like cloak over the Marines, kill the Marines, and then once they're all dead, you kill all the Marauders for free. You could also do something like make, let's say, 2 Widow Mines and put 1 Widow Mine there and put 1 Widow Mine there. And when he Stimpacks up the ramp, if he doesn't scan ahead and kill those Widow Mines, you could kill all the Marines, like, and most of the Marauders, like weaken the Marauders heavily. And even if he does scan, here's the beautiful thing about Widow Mines: they have the exact same attack range as a Marine does. So there's a good chance the Widow Mine will still shoot a shot because a Marine walks into range to kill the Widow Mine. Like, there, again, you don't have to, that's not, I'm not telling you that that's the only way to counter this. It's just creative ways that you could react to this if you scouted it with the Reaper. And then you knew what was happening because you went, oh, 3 racks. Okay. No factory, no starport, just a lot of early bio to attack my door. You could also even swap over your reactor and your tech lab from factory and starport, and you could make Liberator and you could make tank if you really wanted to, and you could put like a tank on the high ground or something, or you could depot wall this off and put a tank back here, and you could like Liberator his mineral line, and there's nothing you could do either. Like, there's a lot of ways, because you can't make a Viking. There's a lot of ways you could fuck this over if you knew what he was doing. But as it is with the build you're doing, we'll continue to talk about it, and I just want to give you ideas about, like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I didn't think about that. There's cool ways you could like fuck people over, and the whole point is you need to scout with this Reaper. This Reaper being defensive like this is a waste of its time. It's such a shitty unit defensive like that.
Okay.
And now the final thing I'll say: this Banshee should not be going here. It should be going this way right here, up, and that way. It should be going through this, because what's scary for you right now, again, if you knew what build he was doing, if this Banshee crosses and at the same time he crosses and you don't have a Banshee at home to defend this could fucking destroy you. And then suddenly you're having to lift off your natural, all your SCVs are dying here, your depots are dying, and you're getting compromised. This could totally happen.
Good. SCV ready. Ready to raise some hell. SCV ready. Who wants SCV ready? SCV ready.
Okay. Killing SCVs. So far, other than your no scout, so far you're doing a good job, like with your attack. Now, what should be happening right now, okay? There's two things that need to be happening right now. Number one, you need to be... I love that you fucking scanned, okay? I love that you scanned. And I love that you're attacking with one a little bit before attacking with the other, because what you're doing is you're dragging him. Now, this is what you should be expecting. Your Banshee should be getting under fire here pretty soon. 100%. This is going to happen. This should be expected. So if this Banshee dies, this is unnecessary about it dying. It doesn't need to die. Like, this Banshee should be... What you should be doing with the Banshee is you should be moving between attacks to an area which can more easily escape the base. So, for instance, if you attack, move, like attack here, move, attack here, move, attack here, move, attack here, move. And now you're like, suddenly your Banshee's here, and it's still shooting SCVs, but it's like on the edge of the cliff. And then suddenly the Marines show up, and you just move to like right there. And the Banshee can't die. Again, it would be even easier to do this with a premeditated plan if you saw with the Reaper that he was doing at 3 racks. But if you just got here and found out with no scout, oh, it's just a lot of Marine Marauder. There's no Viking right now. Or there's no Cyclone right now. You could abuse this so easy. So that's the first thing you should do, is make sure this Banshee doesn't just sacrifice itself right now. I hope it doesn't die for your sake, because if it doesn't die, this is... You could literally end the game right now if you micro this well. The second thing you need to be doing is not stopping your build. So this doesn't need to be looked at. It just needs to be managed without looking at it. The only thing you need to manage with it while looking at it is you can be as ugly as you want with the way you put depots down, but I would say grab a couple SCVs and just throw down like 3 depots. Just like you would throw down more depots, the more time you think you're going to be committed to this fight. If you think you're going to do a great job, like 3 depots would be a great idea right now. If you think you're going to like be very passive with this and you're not going to like commit a lot of time to this, maybe like 1 or 2 depots. But because that means that you're just looking for like a quick poke and disengage and you're done. And you're going to go back to macroing. Because again, the golden rule is you don't fuck up your own build to then fuck up his build. You never fuck your build up, ever. And your build is always priority number 1. But you want to think about how you're going to attack to make sure your build doesn't get fucked up. So this is like the next step on top of what we talked about last week, which is learning how to play aggressive. But now you also need to think about learning how to multitask properly. So as long as you have a plan in mind to go like that, that's also why a scout is so fucking important with your Reaper. Because if you saw 3 racks, this is so abusable with the Banshee. You have such a lead here, such an advantage of opener if you use it right, that you should totally commit a lot of time to this. And like try to macro during it. So you could be like attack, move, hit number 4, make Marines, and make whatever other stuff, like make anything really, whatever you can. And then attack, move, make something else again, make SCVs, make more units. And then if you move your Banshee down here and you disengage for like a second, maybe lift, make new add-on, make racks, come back to it, fuck with it again. And then at the same time, you know, obviously you got to do the same thing to think about your Hellions and Reaper, when you want to use them, when you don't want to use them. So it's not only about how do I use these units to attack in conjunction with each other. You got to think about how do I want to use these units to attack in conjunction with each other and my base and macro cycles. So you gotta honestly create a window of time for like 5 seconds for you to make add-on swap. You can't just be like attack in, let's add-on swap, and then 5 seconds later come back and your attack is dead. You gotta think about how you want to allocate that. And a perfect time to do that would be when you're relocating the opponent and you're disengaging for a second and you're reconfirming where he is. That's a perfect time to go quick macro cycle and then come back and wait for him to show up while you're macroing without looking at your base. So anyways, let's see what you do here. And let's also watch your production. I want to see if your production just drops off. So the Banshee died. And it's definitely not what you want to happen right there. You want to make sure, again, you're trying to salvage this shit as much as possible, because your attack now just lost all of its momentum. This attack went from really hard to deal with to now really easy to deal with for Terran by that Banshee dying. And that Banshee did not pay for itself. I think it killed like 1 SCV. Or it might be like 2 SCVs or something, because I think your Hellions just killed 1. How many SCVs actually died to that Banshee before it died? You killed 2 SCVs. So you killed 2 SCVs and That's it. You actually didn't kill the Marine because it has combat shield, so you shot it twice and it still didn't die. And then your Banshee died as it was trying to run away. But at that point, you waited way too long to run away, so it died. You gotta definitely disengage faster than that. Because you don't wanna fight him. You wanna aggro him and then go, I'm hiding now. You wanna play like cat and mouse. Like you're basically like literally playing cat and mouse, and you're the mouse here. And if the cat catches you, you're fucking dead. But if the cat doesn't catch you, it's just gonna get run around a lot. You're gonna squeeze in areas that the cat can't chase you at, right? That's the same fucking concept here. And now your Hellions here, what they should be doing is killing as many SCVs as they can. And I would be totally fine as well if you took one auto attack to roast these two Marines, especially since your Hellions and the way they're lined up. You could actually AoE both of them. It's like they're lining up in a line for you. But even if you don't attack the Marines and you just attack SCVs, that's totally fine. But just know, automatically, if your Banshee disengaged, it would be the same thing. The fact that it's dead now is going to guarantee this is going to happen. But you have about 5 seconds. You have literally until about 5 minutes and 22 seconds to do damage, and then you need to leave. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because if you think about how long does it take for these units to get to here? Probably like about, I would say 5 seconds is giving yourself a little bit of leeway to not lose half your Hellions as you try to run out of his base. Like if you wait for 9 seconds or something, he's going to be like right there. He's going to kill your Hellions as you leave his base. And you're going to waste all your units. So you have until about 5:22 to attack this, which is about 3 auto attacks. So you want to make them count and be like AoE down some Hellion or some SCVs, like shoot like a clump or something. Like move in, shoot a clump, move in, shoot a clump, and then get the fuck out. Because as we see here, if we play now, you kill it. Nice hit, nice shot there. You killed it a little bit, nice shot there. But now, as we said, about 5:22, 5 seconds later, you need to get out. And you're leaving right now, so good shit. And you chose not to kill these two Marines, so they actually killed one of your Hellions. I'm okay with that, because you did more damage to SCVs. Totally fine. Not a big deal. You could have done literally either way there. But the way you microed the Hellions was fine. You did a great job with the Hellions. You just didn't combine that in conjunction with your Banshee. The way you microed the Banshee was not good. Definitely need to maximize moving it to an area that's easily escapable. Like you can always disengage super fast, and you move it during auto attack cooldown. And if you don't know how much attack speed a Banshee has, you just memorize this kind of stuff. Okay, a Banshee can attack every 0.89 seconds, so that means I should be move commanding for 0.89 seconds, or as close to that as I can before I go attack move. So it goes attack, move, attack, move, attack, move, attack, move. Like you would just... The point is when I say attack, you're shooting a shot, and then when I say move, you're move commanding, and you're trying not to attack again for 0.89. And that you're doing effective stutter stepping at that point if you do that. As close to that as you can. So you're making distance through his base as you kill SCVs. And you're getting to a point that's really hard for you to die. Definitely do that more in the future.
Is the dead zone at the bottom right corner enough for the Banshee to not get shoot by Marines?
In Marines, yes. If it was a Cyclone, no. And if it's an air unit, obviously, you just die. But if a Cyclone was here with a lock-on on you, it would absolutely retain the lock-on and you would die. But if it was a Marine standing there, your Banshee would be out of range. I feel like if your Banshee's in the corner here, that's about like 7 range. Or maybe like even like 8 range. Like I would say a Queen would still have a hard time shooting your Banshee. A Marine definitely can't shoot your Banshee. Like a Marine can literally, if a Marine was standing like right here between these two little red lines right there, a Marine can genuinely shoot only about like that far. So like a Marine actually can't shoot a Banshee. Like if a Marine standing here, it can shoot to about like right there, and your Banshee could from like there, like corner to corner, like right there to there, and your Banshee could probably be like right there, just chilling. Like it would definitely be out of range.
SCV ready.
And now right here, how you're moving out. At this point now, I would, or just kidding, sorry, this is before. For some reason, I thought you were moving out again. My bad. Okay, so we'll go back to when you might get the Banshees, or the Hellions, and you got out. I want to see what you do with the Hellions now. You should actually just, honestly, you should kind of like disengage, but not leave his base. So here's what I would say. At this point in time, are you confident that if he attacks you with his army, do you think you would win the game, or do you think you would lose the game?
to get.
Okay. And
That's the period of time that I mentioned to you, where from this point until 7 minutes, I don't feel like I have enough stuff.
okay. So that's because you're not keeping him busy long enough, and your attack was really botched right off the bat. You definitely should have like slowed him down a lot more than you did, for sure. And the big part of that's because of your Banshee and the way you microed it, and it just didn't really it wasn't effective. Now there's to go like super and to give you a quick explanation about Banshee. You can also kite Marines with Banshee too. Like you can actually have a Marine chase a Banshee, and you can have a Banshee fly away from the Marine and then move the ground and then immediately start moving again. And there's actually a micro mechanic in this game where you can make your air unit glide if you tell it to move command right as its attack animation goes off. So you don't let it come to a complete stop, essentially. It literally glides and shoots. And it's like how Vikings kill battlecruisers. That's like the most obvious example Terran has of that. When you're like kiting BCs and the Vikings are always like doing this like 180 glide shot, and then they turn around again and start flying away from the BCs and they never get shot. You can do the exact same thing with a Banshee to a Marine. It's just a little harder. It's like it requires like good timing because it's closer range than a Viking to a BC. So you can actually effectively kite Marines all day with a Banshee if you micro it really well. Now, I'm not saying that you have to kill all those Marines that way, but what I am saying is you should have that mindset of how you micro your Banshee in the first place, to always be like trying to create distance, take a shot, create distance, take a shot. Like your Banshee only got off about maybe like 6 shots in total, when it should be getting off probably like 30 shots or 40 shots, like throughout the course of about like 2 minutes, especially if he doesn't have a Viking. Now, again, that's just like some ideas of Banshee micro there. It's very realistic. What you could do right now, though, that's why I wanted to ask you that question one more time here, because it was like about like, would you die? Do you think you would die if you pushed? Because I agree with you. You would totally die if you pushed you right now, because your build is a harass build that transitions. His build, believe it or not, is very heavy in the timing attack department. This build is really powerful really early, but it falls off really hard if it doesn't do damage, because his tech is so fucking late. So all you got to do to defend this would be leave your Reaper. Like, this is where it gets a little advanced, okay? But think about this for a second. What if you left your Reaper, like, right here? Like, right in the middle of this area. Just your Reaper. And then you leave, like, your Hellions, like, right there. And then if you do or don't pay attention to your Reaper, it's not the end of the world. Ideally, if you're playing perfect, you can be like, oh, he's pushing down the ramp right now. Reaper, run that way. And then, just wait right there. And reconfirm if he's pushing again. Like, again, assuming you're playing perfect, right? If you don't play perfect, we'll talk about that in a second. It's fine. But the point I'm trying to make here is you watch to see him move out of his base, because it's guaranteed that he's going to do that if he goes 3 racks opener. Nobody goes 3 racks and then camps their base. Everybody goes 3 racks opener and goes, as soon as Stimpack's done, I'm going to fucking push you with Stimpack. That's just what the build does. So if you had a Reaper in front of his ramp and you saw when he pushed and you watched him walk this way, you would push his base with your Hellions right as he leaves his base. And if you catch him when his army's like right here and you're driving into his base right there, 9 times out of 10, he'll turn around and try to save his SCVs. And if he doesn't, you could go, okay, well, this guy is super all in now. He's clearly not coming home to defend his base. How about I just evacuate all my SCVs from my natural, go back to my main, and just hold my main for an all in now, because I am fucking him over so bad. And if he doesn't break me entirely with that one push that's coming, I win the game. And then you just keep making whatever you can and you try to defend yourself. But I guarantee he'll defend himself. I would say 99% chance in Diamond League, if you go into his base right as he leaves it, which you could know he's going to leave it with the Reaper, you're going to make him turn around and he's going to go, oh, fuck, okay, let's go back and stop those Hellions while my SCVs are dying. You might kill another like 6 SCVs or something, and then your Reapers die, or your Hellions guaranteed die, because you're just using it as a deterrent for time. You're making him come back, but it buys you another like 30 seconds for him to walk back, kill your Hellions, and then walk back again of time to now make more army, which will make up the difference, because your army should be better over time because you have more tech. You have better tech than he does. So you'll have like medevacs. You'll have your own Marine Marauder. You could, in theory, make a bunker now to deal with it if you're afraid of the timing attack coming back at you. You could also if you see something like this, you could, in theory, also do something like make Liberator. You could put like 2 Liberators on the ramp and hold the ramp with libs and bio behind it. Because again, if you think that your opponent's going to be really, really, really aggressive, you could always be creative about how you alter your build, and just making more racks right now for a timing attack might not be the right play if you fuck up your attack. So I want you to know that the build that I gave you, where it's like, okay, attack with the Banshee and attack with the Hellions and then just do this. This will work every single time at Diamond League if you don't fuck up your attack. If you effectively harass with Hellion Banshee, it will always work. But if you make a mistake and you lose your Banshee like you did, and you lose a lot of time to control him, this build now becomes a lot more risky. And you could alter it to add something else in to keep you safer. Like, for instance, you could go, okay, fuck it. I lost my Banshee. I'm going to make a quick tank. Or I lost my Banshee. I'm going to make a couple Widow Mines. Or I lost my Banshee. I'm going to make another Banshee. Or I'm going to make a Liberator. Or you could do something that's going to give you a cost-efficient way to defend yourself in case he attacks you. Not saying you have to, but it would keep you safer if you did. But that's not the general goal that you should be going for. The goal should be don't fuck up your attack. So far,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's huge. This build is like definitely reliant on that.
In terms of the Banshee, I used to only poke on the edge of the mineral line, and then to hit the workers that are collecting gas. And then I realized when the worker goes back, Banshee just starts attacking the gas
Yep.
itself.
Oh.
So should I pay more attention to the Banshee, and then do I need to actually click attack move the specific workers when I was
No.
moving around this base?
I'll show you exactly how I would micro this, okay? If I were you. Like, we'll go back to when the Banshee happened, and I'll pretend I'm you for a second here. This is exactly what I would do. So my Banshees are moving out. My Hellions are moving out. Now, ideally, like I said before, you would want to have scouted him. This is a big deal. This is not something you should forget. You would have wanted to have scouted him with the Reaper already to have an idea what his opener is. Because if you think about it like this, if he's going for tech, you probably want to be more concealed with your Banshee and try to like sneak in like along the edge of the map to do damage to his economy. Whereas if he's going for a timing attack with low tech, you probably want to make sure you don't just die. So you want to go like because again, you can kite the Marines backwards, and the Marauder, you can take a bunch of shots repeatedly, and your one Banshee could genuinely stop this entire timing if you microed it really well. So you would want to have moved it through the middle if you knew he was going through X, just so he's not pushing you as you push him. And suddenly your Hellions are like, oh fuck, we're dead. And then he just pushes your base, and your Banshee's trying to come home now as your base is getting fucking run over by Stimpack. That would suck. But we'll disregard that for now, okay? That is important as fuck. So your scouting should definitely play a factor on how you move your units across the map. Over time, I don't expect you to learn everything immediately, but think about what makes sense. And the simplest way to explain it, timing attacks that can't really kill air very well, Banshee should be zoning those out. You should be going down the path. Like, same thing, if you scouted a Zerg who's going Roachwarren Lings, you should not go along the edge of the map and try to kill drones. You should absolutely go through the middle in case he pushes through it, and you can start popping roaches as he crosses. So you're not like getting to the Zerg's base and then roaches are suddenly running in your doorway and you're like, oh fuck. Well, I could have been kiting him across the entire map with Banshee, but instead I wasn't, because I didn't know he was doing that, because I didn't scout. So that's huge. You definitely want to be watching for that kind of shit to dictate if your Banshee should go through the edge or through the center. Now, with the Banshee, microing it, let's just say this was perfect. Let's say that you were supposed to go here. This is how I would micro it if I were you. So I would go Banshee on group 3 is fine. Hellions and Reaper on group 1, that's fine. I would say group 1, A move outside his base. Like, I don't think you can see my mouse, but I would A move my Hellion Reaper like right here, okay? Like just outside the base, somewhere close by, not inside the base yet. I would go near the base somewhere. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That would be okay. This is okay. Like anywhere not there is okay. You don't want to be like at the ramp so that he sees you and attacks you. You want to be like near the base. So I would tell those units to A move there while I micro this now. And so I wouldn't even look at the Hellions and Reapers to do that. I would also be going on 4 and 5 right now because I'm not attacking yet. And I would go make Marines, make SCVs, stuff like that. And right before I take a fight, I would, like right about now, I would be looking at my supply going, do I have enough to make this work? And I would say, fuck no. And I would probably, if I were you, make 2 depots immediately. Just because I want to make sure I don't supply block. Because I don't want to be doing that in the middle of... I would never tell you kite, depot, kite, depot, kite. Like, that's ridiculous. No one's going to do that. You preset it up. So you do the harder macro as a prerequisite to your attack, which gives you time to do easy macro during your attack. And the difference between hard and easy macro is hard macro is something you got to look at. Easy macro is something you can hit a hotkey for. So easy macro would be hitting 4A, going back to group, hitting 3. So 4A3. You could do that in literally half a second or like a third of a second. And you're still microing your Banshee and nothing changes. And you're still looking at your Banshee. But if I told you to swap your fucking factory in your starport, there's no hotkey for that. You'd have to go, okay, lift, swap, land, go back to Banshee. And by then your Banshee could be dead. And you're like, oh, fuck. So you want to make sure that right before you take your fight, like as the Banshee's crossing, getting close to the base, you do your final little like make sure all your gears are checked here or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm good to go. Let's do this. And then this is how you micro it if you went to the base. Also, you sat here way too long. I'm not gonna lie. This requires like you to be a little bit faster. Sitting in the fog or in like the outside his base like this, he can also see you, I believe. Or no, you actually can't. But you're close. But either way, just sitting here, you want to make sure you maximize this like sooner than this. Like this is kind of a waste of time. So try to be a little bit faster about it in the future. Okay, now you're moving in. I love that you didn't attack the depot. I love that you did not attack the depot because half the time your opponent won't realize you're here immediately. Now, if you get really high level league like Grandmaster, they're always going to fucking see you and it's never going to be a thing. But there's a lot of times, especially in Diamond League, where people just don't notice shit. Like, if I look at this guy's camera, there's a good chance he might not be looking at your Banshee. And he has no fucking idea. Let's see. Wait until he notices you have a Banshee in his base. Okay, now he did. So, he noticed it about, like, 2 seconds after you came into his vision. So, he still noticed it pretty fast. But some people will genuinely not notice until it goes, our base is under attack. So, definitely don't alert them going, hey, I'm over here. And then suddenly, it limits your time to do damage. So I love that you did not attack the depot. That is so important to not do that. And then you're going forward into his base. This is great so far. You stopped again. I don't like that. You definitely need to not stop. You definitely need to make sure you're not wasting time. And then again, group 1 should be going outside his base over here. Group 3 should be move commanding towards the gas and the mineral line. And then right now I would go move the ground right there. Move command right there. And then 0.89 seconds later, I would move again. Move command. I would literally... Because here's why. If his bio came from here, if his bio came from here, if his bio came from here, the problem with where your Banshee is right now is you have no escape. You cannot go there and avoid getting shot by Marines. The Marine will shoot you easily that far away. It will not save you. So... if he shows up on you right now, your units are gonna die. Mila, chill out. Your units are definitely gonna die. Or like the Banshee would die. So you need to think about like, okay, is this safe? No, it's not. Is this safe? Yes. Is this safe? Yes. But does this do anything? Not really. You kill a depot and that's not really effective. That's kind of shitty. But this kills SCVs, and that's amazing. So you want to get to this area ASAP. But you don't want to just move command there. That is something that's, like, again, a missed opportunity. You could do so much more. You could shoot like 4 times and get there just as fast, essentially. So you don't want to just move command and go, fuck it. I'll just move and never do anything until I get there. You definitely want to stutter your shots and gradually go there with your attacks. But then you don't want to move in with your Hellions yet. You do not want to go at the exact, like, because you don't want to move in and just go, I have no idea where he is, and let's make both sides work at the same time. You could do both sides at the same time if you're really high level and you're fucking amazing at multitasking, like 2 different spots at the same time with micro. That's advanced. For now, though, all you want to do is you want to, you know Like if you were the blue Terran, you know that if you saw a Banshee in your base, you're not just gonna watch all your SCVs die. You're gonna react to it, right? You're gonna be like, oh, okay, Banshee, I'm gonna kill you now. So you can already assume. If you think about how a player thinks, like what were you doing before the fight happened? Your Hellions were right there. I like it. They were on top of the ramp. I would say maybe move them a little bit more spread out, but that's being very nitpicky right there. I love that they're on top of the ramp. They're guarding your natural. I fully expect your opponent's army to be somewhere in that vicinity as well. There you go, right? He's going to be there because he's going to be guarding his natural. So if you think about it like that, if you think about logical defense for your opponent, when you realize he sees you in his base, you can assume right now he's not here yet, and you don't know if he's already spotted you yet. And if he just spotted you just now, his army is still right there, like in this area, which is a possibility. But if he spotted you a little bit faster, his army would be like right there because he might have moved like a couple seconds faster. So in theory, his army is either right here or somewhere between like that box, which gives you about the next like 3 seconds realistically before he's going to be, if let's say he's here, 3 seconds goes by. Now he's like right there and he's like about to start shooting your Banshee. So you have only a couple seconds now to get to here. And you should be expecting him to come there because he's going to try to defend himself. So if we move this way and you sit here, a couple seconds goes by, now he's right there. And now you should absolutely be getting the fuck over this way more. You should definitely not be shift-click targeting SCVs like this because you're in a compromising location. You'd like to move to a safe spot now. You have to move all the way like right, like that far to go to a safe spot from where your Banshee is currently located. That is a lot of time for him to shoot you. That's scary. Because, again, you don't even know if he has a Cyclone or something. And if he does, you're fucked. But if you were already, like, right here, like, if you were on your way to moving right there, that'd be great for you because you'd know that you have easier escape right now. And now that you see the Marauders as well, like, that, obviously, Marauders can't attack Banshee, but this is great for you because... Obviously, you don't know what build he's doing either until right now. So now this is like, okay, I'm having to analyze everything in half a second. But this tells you this is terrible against Banshees. They can't even shoot Banshees. So his army actually is not the greatest. And also, he's bringing his Marauders to stop a Banshee, which means he's doing Select All Army and having everything come kill the Banshee, which proves that this is open now. So as soon as you confirm his army's here, like what are you looking at right now? You should definitely not be looking here. There's no point to look here right now. You should absolutely be looking right here because you're not playing with the assumption. You're playing under the assumption that he's going to react to the Banshee and not actually microing the Banshee. But what you should do is micro the Banshee until he reacts and then micro the Hellions. So you should put your Banshee in a spot where it not only does damage, but it also has a way to evacuate itself. And then as soon as he arrives to stop you, you stop doing damage and evacuate to come back again and do damage later. So you should be a move command, a move command to the edge of his base right now. And you should be looking at your Banshee. Because think about it like this, okay? Think about it like this. If you move commanded your Hellions into his natural right now, what do you think would happen? And you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. It's fine. It's just more of a rhetorical question. But if you move commanded your Hellions into the natural right now, nothing would happen because his army's here. So you don't even have to look at the Hellions if you confirmed this with your Banshee. I love that you still scanned ahead and went, okay, is this okay? But this is more of a, I would say, like this concept is really good, but it applies more to like Medivacs than it does to like a Banshee. Because a Banshee is like, it has its own attack and it can like be kind of self-sufficient. Whereas like if you were flying a Medivac into someone's base and you're about to fly into a bunch of Stimpack Marines or like a group of Vikings, like your Medivac could just insta-die. Which is, and also if this was your first attack, it would make more sense to scan. If this is your second attack, you don't really need to scan as much because you can confirm where his army is with your first attack. It's here now. So you've pulled him to the main. So now you can push him in the natural that is isolated and exposed. So you should be now not even microing your, you could be microing your Hellions off of the mini map and microing your Banshee on the screen. So your screen should be right here, and you should be going like this. Group 1, right click on the mini-map right there. Group 3, and you're not looking there, by the way. You're not looking here. You just go group 1, right click the natural of Terran. And group 3, move command right here. Like, get out of there. And you could still go right click, a move, 0.89 seconds later. Or rather, sorry, right click, and then a move, and then right click again, and then 0.89 seconds later, a click, and then right click again, 0.89 seconds later, right attack again. So you want to be moving during the time, not stopping during the time, because your attack cooldown refreshes even though you're moving. So you want to maximize distance while your attack is coming off cooldown. Because this Banshee, if it lived right now, you would get out, he would chase you all the way to the edge of his base. You would kill more SCVs as a result of this, because there would be more time here to do this. And then what's he going to do as soon as you have the Banshee over in the corner here? Probably he's going to tell his army to go now stop your Hellions, because that's how he stopped you from killing his SCVs. He pulled his army down the natural, and he stopped your Hellions. If he doesn't have any units come down here to stop the Hellions, you just kill all the SCVs. So then what you would do is you would hide the Banshee in the corner, and then micro your Hellions, and then literally think to yourself, okay, I don't, let's just say, because your Banshee doesn't, it's not like it has no vision. It's going to have vision all the way to like the engineering bay. And if you don't see his army camped on the cliffside there, if it's just not there, you have about 5 seconds where you can go, okay, he's going to probably come down to the natural now. And that's like we talked about earlier. You can get out of his base like around 5 seconds later, and you can also watch for it. You can be like, hey, Reaper, go check the ramp really fast. Is he coming here for real, or is he just sitting in the mineral line now, waiting for the Banshee? Like, what's he doing? And you can just maximize your attack here, like crazy. And your Reaper is literally a piece of shit unit at this point. It's just a scout. It doesn't do any damage really compared to the Hellions and the Banshee. It's like such bad damage. But it's really just doing damage where he isn't, and making sure that you try to keep your units alive so that you can do it again. Because if you drug him down to the natural now, let's say he goes, okay, Banshee's gone, Hellions are killing my SCVs at my natural, let's go defend that. And then now he comes down the ramp, and you go, okay, let's get out of here. And you lose 1 Hellion as you leave, just like you did last time. What we're about to watch in a second. Your Banshee could go right back in the middle line again and kill another like 5 SCVs as he comes back to the main again. And he's like, fucking God, all my SCVs are dying. And suddenly his build can't operate properly because he can't even afford what he's doing. And you halt his production, you put bumps and like speed bumps all over his build, things start falling apart for him. And you create a thing where you invested into harassment and it paid for itself because you disrupted your opponent's build heavily, and you're actually still transitioning into a real army yourself. And it would weaken his attack when he gets here eventually, to the point to where ideally you overpower it, as long as you don't completely fuck up your macro behind your little attack. Which means you still gotta, like, when you hide your Banshee, maybe hit number 4 and make Marines, make a medevac, make a whatever, make units.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely micro the unit that's initiating first. Do not, like, this is not the time to micro the Hellions. And again, that's what you're looking at right now is your Hellions. You just completely, like, abandoned the Banshee. Because this is your camera. And then when you came back to the Banshee, so you microed, like, you sent the Banshee into a compromising position, and then you microed the Hellions for, like, 5 seconds. And then you went, okay, there's nothing here. I'm pushing this. Now let's go check on the Banshee, and now it's dead. So this was guaranteed going to happen if you don't pull it back, because this was your initiation, which is going to pull him here. So this is always the priority first. This does not need to be the priority. Whatever you do as a secondary follows the priority. So you micro the priority until you drag him to an area that it's bad, and then you micro the secondary because the primary is safe out of the base. This happens the same exact way. It's the exact same thing with drops, by the way. Like, if you were dropping his base, the last thing I would ever tell you to do would be, okay, send your drop ships with your medevacs to drop command right there. And then once they're like right there, stop looking at them. And then walk into his natural. And then you like walk into the natural and you stim back the natural. And as you stim back the natural, you're like, okay, how's the main doing? And that's right as like all of it's dying. And you're like, oh, fuck. Well, wasted drop in the main. It's like the exact same thing you just did with the Banshee. So definitely micro this first, and then micro the secondary right after. Once this is safe.
I'm in a heap of trouble. SCV ready.
Yeah, because now your whole game is like thrown off heavily. And then, like I said before, a cool tip would have been to like leave some Hellions to make him have to come back and defend again. So you can't just like walk to your base and attack you. Because if he comes to your base right now, he's probably gonna fucking destroy you or like do some serious damage to you.
Add-on complete. Add-on
SCV ready.
research complete.
SCV ready.
Okay, you saw him leaving his base. This is the perfect time to poke him again right now. Like maybe if not right now, 2 seconds from now. Because he was leaving his base. So the last thing you should do is run home with this. You should immediately, because this is going to do nothing to his army. This is so bad. Hellions don't trade well versus Stimpack Bio. Especially if they're not even Blue Flame Hellions. Like these are just going to instantly die. Your Reaper and Hellion are going to attribute almost nothing to this fight. But they can totally attribute a lot to the game overall if they go kill SCVs again. So right now, I bet Terran, if I had to guess, Terran is about right there right now. And if, let's just say, 2 seconds goes by, 44, 45, you know where I bet he is right now? Probably like right there. He's probably right about here, walking to your base. And every second that goes by, he's going to get further and further and further towards your base. So if you started turning around right now and going to his base, you'd be getting about here by about like 649 to 650. And that's going to be when he's about right there. From like right there to right here. So you would drive into his base and he would have to make a choice. Again, do I go home now and defend that? Or do I just go all in base trade and like take fucking like a bunch of mineral losses at my natural? Now, if he had a secondary like reinforcement line that just spawned and he was able to defend himself, that could be a thing too. But you still, even if that was the case, you could still kill probably like 10 SCVs, which is still a nice like little bit of a win there for you. So let's see what you do with the Hellions. They're chilling, and they're chilling for such a long time now that if you wait until about 7 minutes, at about 7 minutes, he's going to be like right there. He'll be like almost at your base at 7 minutes. And if you're still sitting there, that's also giving him time to have reinforcements genuinely come here and defend his base now. So I bet you're going to get attacked by like 7:10. 7:05 to like 7:10 is when he's going to be approaching your ramp.
SCV ready.
Okay, so 7:05. He should be in the area somewhere right around here if he's actually attacking you. And he's right fucking there, right? How did I know that? Because it's just movement speed of units going across the map. You can assume he was already doing it. And I love that you attempted to attack him, but you waited so long that you waited until he was already here. Which meant that you gave him an entire reinforcement round. Guaranteed. That's not even a chance now. It's a guarantee. So now this does nothing. Because all this exists now. If you would have went right about like a few seconds after he poked you the first time, like right here, like watch this. Like we talked about the first time. Like right here, he pokes you and you see him walking to the left right now. So you know he's attacking you. Your base. You drive up. Turn around at like 6:45. You go down right now. At 6:49, you go into his base. So like right about now, your Hellions would be like right there, and you'd be going into his base. I bet his army is like right here, somewhere like in this area right here. Right? He's not even that far out yet. He's right there, but that's open, and that's nowhere near as much as it was a second ago. For what we just saw, there's no tank here. There's not like 6 units here with bio with it. It's just 2 Marauders, and 2 Marauders aren't going to stop 4 Hellions and a Reaper that fast. Like, you would totally kill some SCVs right now. And you would be, like, right there if you turned around at 6:45. Like, which is, like, a second or two after he poked you off. Because you saw him walking out of his base. So you got...
Is it okay to sacrifice all of those? Like, so assume that I'm turning back at 6:45 and I'm attacking him right around this point.
Yes.
Should the mindset be try to salvage the units or just...
You should 100% sacrifice these. And the reason why, here's why, okay? I'm glad it's a good question, and this is a concept as to why that makes sense now. You have lost push and pull. So you want to be efficient and you want to be like conservative with push and pull, okay? But you don't have push and pull anymore because the Banshee died. So there's no more pulling and pushing. It's just one thing only. That's like, like the, what the fuck is like a teeter totter, I think is what it's called. Like the thing that kids use where they like one of them sits on one side, the other one sits on the other side, and it's like balance. Like one goes up, one goes down, one goes up, one goes down. A seesaw, yeah. Like you don't have anyone else on the other side of the seesaw, so now you're just always one side's just down. So there's no balance here to your attack. There's no efficiency anymore here. You can't do left side, right side now. It's just right side only, or it's just left side only. So this is now shit because these units are not going to trade at all well against Marauders and Marines with Stimpak. They'll instantly die in a fight versus them. Even if they're mixed in with your own units, they will instantly die. And the best thing you can hope for is letting these units buy you time to make him turn around. Because if you think about it like this, mathematically, you go, okay, let's just pretend these units are faster. And even if they go all the way around the other side of the map, like the top side, and they drive down, if I get these home with my base, will I still hold even though I have 4 Hellions and a Reaper on top of 3 Marines and a Marauder? And the answer is like, fuck, definitely not. You're definitely still going to die if this pushes you. Because 4 Hellions and a Reaper does not beat that if it's 3 Marines and a Marauder yourself. Like, it's just way fucking more than you have. You will not win. So you can't think that, like, you need to be conservative with this anymore. This was going to be conservative if you could constantly poke him repeatedly with the Banshee. But now that that effectively is dead, you just need to make him turn around now. That's the best thing you can hope for, is making him waste time. Because, they provide nothing to you. Like, they give you nothing in a real fight with his army. They're worth, like, 1% of what this is worth. Like, you might kill, like, 1 Marine, and then all your units are dead. So it would be rough. You definitely want to think about how to maximize time, because time is actually not bad for you. And the reason why time is not bad for you is because think about what you did, okay? This is a concept now you should start thinking about as well if you're going to play styles like this. What did you do a second ago? You killed SCVs, right? So let's see how you accomplish that. You've created a 4-worker advantage. How many workers did you actually kill? You killed 5. So this is a cool tip you can have for yourself, okay? Here's what the tip is. If you guys have the same exact opener, which you did this game, you can calculate the amount of units, the workers killed, to the amount of total that you have. And we'll also tell you if your macro was on point or not as well, according to like how well your opponent's doing. And right now you killed 5 and you're ahead by 4. Okay? So if you're only ahead by 4 and you killed 5, it means that you actually have not made 1 SCV compared to your opponent. Because if you killed 5, you should be ahead by 5, not ahead by 4. So you've already missed an SCV with your build. And we know that if what we talked about earlier, you missed a few SCVs at a few different times. So you actually should be ahead by more than that as well. But it's because he also missed SCVs too. That's the reason why you're only ahead by 4 and not by... If you've missed SCVs and he's missed SCVs, you both are missing your macro, is the point I'm trying to make here. But you should... If you guys had the exact same opener with SCVs, you should be ahead by what you killed, in theory. I hope that makes sense. It's just... It's a cool gauge to know if you're doing well according as compared to your opponent. But the concept is... Your build is a harass SCV opener. You're all about harassing SCVs, slowing him down, and if you effectively do that, time is on your side because you have a better economy than he does, which provides you more production over each minute that goes beyond that point. Like you're producing at 800 minerals more efficiently than he is each minute that goes by, which could equate to like 16 Marines or something. Like a minute. Which is a lot because you're mining more because he has less workers than you. Like ideally you'd want a situation to be like, cool, we had the same opener in terms of like, we both went 1 racks command center, but now after my Banshee Hellion, he's got 39 SCVs and I have 57 SCVs. Like that's a realistic situation that you would want to have where you're like, wow, I did a great job harassing this game. And now he's only mining like 2/3 of what you're mining and you're getting way more resources per minute. and it's giving you a lead every second that goes by. So these units would want, the whole purpose of these units now would be, how do I create more time for myself so that my actual real transition can be bigger and provide me more time to get a larger one, which would be, okay, let's just go sack these units in a intelligent way that makes him not attack me for longer. That's what you'd want to go for. That would be the concept there. So this is literally just shit in your army at this point. It's just harass. Like, this is a different phase of the game that's kind of over now.
SCV ready.
And yeah, like I said, it just waited way too long, so you let way more stuff appear, and you got here and just got destroyed, unfortunately. And now he shows up with his army. And if you just had a little bit more time, you would have been fine. But yeah, all the reasons we've talked about so far is why you didn't have time. Macro could have been a little bit better as well. Like if we go back, we haven't even talked about that, like that much. But if we go back and watch during your multitask, if you're genuinely pumping units at the right times, that's something that requires a lot of practice. But just definitely try to make sure you're doing that. And the biggest tip I can give you, which I already kind of did, was make sure you do the harder macro, the shit you got to look at. Make sure you do that right before you do your pressure, and then do the easy macro during the pressure while you're move commanding units. And you're always move commanding units at some point, like you're kiting, because you're trying to disengage while you harass SCVs. You're not trying to shove into him and find his army and attack. So you're going to be moving a lot. So every time you're running away, hit 4, make a marine, make a marine, make a marine. Go back to hitting 1 or 3 at that point, and then continue microing without looking at your base, because you're watching your unit. Like, you could easily go 3, move there, 4, AAA, 3, move there, 4, AAA, 3, move there. You know what I mean? Like, you can easily macro that shit without looking at it. So definitely do that. But do the micro thing first, where you micro something and go move over there, and now you can't do anything for the next 4 seconds or some shit, if you're trying to, like, not die with your unit and, like, get out of there before he punishes you or something like that. Like, right here too, I would say this. So this is hard. I'm not gonna lie, this is not easy, but you're gonna need to start learning how to gauge a fight and go, is this gonna be good or bad for me? This is going to be clearly bad for you. That is way more fucking units than you have. You have 6 Marines and 1 Marauder. You have 2 medevacs as well, though. But you have 6 Marines and 1 Marauder, and you're fighting against what looks like... Like, this looks like 14 Marines and, like, 7 Marauders, or 6 Marauders. That's a lot of shit. That's, like, way bigger than what you have. So, if you look at that, if you glance at that really fast, there's no fucking way you beat that. Even with a little bit of healing. You're going to get destroyed. But attacking it is a good idea, because you're trying not to lose your expansion. So I'm not telling you not to do anything. I'm not saying sit here and watch your base die. So lifting your base, step number 1, good idea. That way Marauders can't shoot it. Moving it away, this is step 2. That's a great idea. That way you put a timer on how long the Marines have to actually try to kill it. That's a great idea as well. And if you're moving towards your SCVs, you can repair it once they get over the cliff. Step number 3 would be move your army the way you did. Go attack it.
Base is under attack.
Like, I love that you stim packed right away to get there quickly as well. But don't commit to the fight. You're never going to win this fight. Initiate the fight, get his attention, and immediately back up. Like, get him off the command center for a second. Maybe kill 1 Marine, and then just fucking pull back. Because you know if you attack his army, what is he going to do? He's going to fucking attack you. So... don't just stand there and watch all your units die. Expect him to attack you and know that you're not going to win this fight right this second. But if you force him to stim pack as well, he doesn't get healed and you do. So that's a win. That's already a win in your book anyways. If you force a stim and he just fucks around here for a second, trying to, like, attack you, then go back to the command center, and let's say the command center doesn't die and you disengage, so you don't really lose units here either, and he burns a stim, everything is now 10 hit points weaker on the Marines and 20 hit points weaker on the Marauders, which is just permanent damage he's eating because he doesn't have medevacs. And then meanwhile, at the seconds that go by, you're making another round of units, which are going to group up with this existing round of units, which is going to be more realistic for you to win now because your medevacs will heal you back to full, even though you did stim. And then now you're going to be having more units that are fighting more softened up units over here. So you're just equalizing the math there in your odds of winning the fight now. So like right here when you poked him, like kill that Marine and get the fuck back right now. Literally back up right now. You can already even see it too. He's like right clicking towards you on the right side. And it's not even something that you need to react to. It's something you should expect to happen. It's like it's hard to learn this kind of shit when we're not used to it. But once you get to a point where you micro a lot in this game, this is like common sense micro. Like if you attack him, he's going to retaliate and attack you back. So he's not just going to watch you kill him and then just sacrifice his whole army. He's going to try to stop you by killing you too. And so you can expect him. This is a expected reaction to what you did. And if you just backed up, Bio doesn't run faster than Bio, and you guys have the exact same units with the exact same upgrade, stim pack. So you can easily disengage, go to high ground, and camp the high ground, and get healed back to full. And then now when he runs up the ramp, you're getting free fucking shots as he runs up the ramp, and Bio kills Bio super fast. It would definitely give you an advantage there like crazy. But you stand here and you let all your Marines die. Like every Marine but one Marine died. You stood there so you just still had the idea to disengage, but you lost every fucking Marine, and your command center is still pretty fine. And then here's the thing too. What if you say, well, fine, what if I disengage? And then what if he disengages and goes back to the command center? Re-engage him. Poke him. And then back up again once you get his attention. Like, try to make him get off this by chasing this but not actually fighting this. Like, make him chase it, not fight it. You're basically trying to slap him in the face and then run away. Be like, come here, get me! Ah! And then you run and he doesn't actually kill you. And he's stimming and losing health and you're just wasting his time because, again, time is on your side. Because in theory, you killed SCVs. You're making shit faster than he is. And you also have better tech than he does. He is doing a timing attack with a blob of stuff right now. So time is not on his side. He needs to kill you now. Like, he needs to do the damage now. And if you don't allow that to happen, you get massive advantages. But now your second army groups up with your first army. And you lost a bunch of units already. And your tank is not sieged. Your tank went up here and then came back. And then it tries to siege and then it dies. So you could argue that this probably would just have been better off if it just aim moved, in tank form, and got 3 shots off before it died. Or you could have literally just had it drive backwards and had it run away as he chases it and right clicks it. And then at the last second, if you were really crazy, you could boost the medevac and load it up and then drop it again later. And then you could shoot him again with it. Obviously that's super intense micro, but you don't have to do that. But if you make him chase shit and run around too much, your units will actually pick him apart. And it could go, and if you also still had those 6 Marines that died, this is now actually not that much. It's, again, he'd have a little bit more Marines than he does too at the moment because you guys did trade a little bit there, even though you had a worse trade than he did because he had way more than you. So he's got more DPS killing you there. But he's eating fucking a lot of damage with stim packs that's not getting replenished. None of his units are green. And they're just going down the more he stims. And then even after this is over, here's the funny thing. Even after that's over, you're still not behind. You're actually ahead. So you could have microed that a lot better, but even with the way you did micro it, you're actually ahead right now. You have better tech than he does. You have better supply than he does. You have better SCV counts than he does. You have a higher base count than he does. We have every advantage in the world right now. Definitely repair that command center. Hope that doesn't burn down and die. Okay, good job. Definitely fix your base. And macro it up. Okay, that scan for his third base I would say was a little bit not necessary. You could definitely poke with an army like this forward and check his third with that. And if he's in the front area there, just stim pack, run away, and boost these away. Stim, run, tab, boost, medevac, run. Does that make it? Because if you tab to the medevac groups, and it's like a subgroup. So you can just have these guys run forward and then stim and boost away if he is there, if you don't want to take that fight. And if he's there, this creates an opening for your medevacs to do damage. So if you were going to scan anything, it should have been scanning here. As soon as your medevacs are about to go in, just to make sure you're not going to fly into death.
This better be go time. SCV ready.
Okay, so we talked about this again a lot today, and we did talk about this a little bit the first time we talked about this, but there's a primary and a secondary. It's not at the exact same time. You do not want to do it you can only do it at the exact same time if you're really, really, really good. And if you want to practice that, that's totally fine. Okay, I just want you to know that you can practice that. And if you were to tell me, Vibe, I'm trying to practice like multitasking to where I'm attacking 2 fights at the same time, like multiple front micro, I'd be like, okay, that's super hard, but yeah, you're gonna have to learn it sometime, so that's fine. But if you want to practice the technique of how to really break somebody apart in a more realistic, easier to do way, don't try to do both attacks at the exact same time. That's hard. It's really effective if you can do it, but it's a lot harder. And if you're not good at microing that, you're gonna fucking like botch the attack more than you should, and it's gonna become worse for you. So what should be happening is you should be doing one attack first, getting his attention, and then doing the second attack right after, and then trying to fight him where he isn't until you know you've taken it like a massive advantage, and then you just run him over. So we'll see how you do this, but you should not be dropping the second you stim back into this if that's what happens.
Draw field depleted.
So you're here, you scan.
SCV ready.
The scan here again was kind of somewhat necessary, not the most necessary, because you already saw his army was there. It's okay. It's not the worst. You could argue the fact that you don't want to walk into tanks and get splashed like crazy, but you knew he was there already, and you tried to get his attention a little bit, and you did your thing. Now you're boosting over here with your medevacs, and if you see this, this is definitely the time to take this drop. So I hope these medevacs don't turn around and they go through and they just start. You could drop the medevacs on the medevac. Do you know how to do that? You know how to carpet drop, right? I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely would want to carpet drop here so you can get as many units out in case this medevac does die. Okay. Good job. And now what's going to happen? You have about 5 seconds to do damage with this before he comes back. So I'm going to ask, there's a 100% guaranteed correct answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, what do you think you should do right now? I want you to think about it, and then we'll talk about it after. Like you
Start a step to the bottom right, I guess.
Okay, and then what?
And then there should pull one marine to the ramp to see if he's coming. If he's coming, load up and then go to the bottom right.
Okay.
And then the other side should attack in.
Where should it go?
Natural, but I guess maybe third.
I would say, so you know he's coming already because you scanned him already, and you know he's already moving this way. You can see it on, so you need to use the mini. If you don't use the mini map very much when you do attacks like this, you definitely need to. Like, mini map awareness is so important when you start playing this way. It's super important. Like I even referred to the mini map with your Banshee Hellion attack. You need to use the mini map with things like this a lot. So you're using the mini map to gauge where your Hellions are rather than looking at the Hellions. That way you can still look at your Banshee, which is the priority at that point in time. It's the same thing here. This is the priority, so you should be looking at your blob of bio in the middle of the map on the mini map, not actually clicking it and looking at it here on your screen. So your eyeballs, like if your screen's here, your eyeball should be bottom left looking at the mini map. And you could see the blue blob going into his base, up to his natural right now, which means he's coming back to his main, which is expected. And you're going to kill a lot of SCVs in the process. You should definitely stutter step stim pack his mineral line right now and kill as many SCVs as possible. And then as soon as he gets close, right click, load up, boost to the corner. And as soon as he's here, you immediately take the rest of your bio in group 1 and go attack his fucking third base. And because you know it exists, and the reason why you would go to the third and not the natural is because push and pull is the most effective if you go to the furthest location possible. If you Like if we have a scale between 1 and 10 and you're attacking him at 10 and then he comes over to 10 and you attack him at 1 and he has to go all the way back from 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and now he's back at 1, it's going to take the longest distance possible to get there to defend the other side. And then you attack him at 10 again when he's at 1. That's way more effective than attacking him at 10 and then attacking him again at 6 and then going, okay, or attacking him at 5 and going, okay, we're at 10 and now we're disengaging at 10 and now he goes, okay, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and now he's defending that. So he's way less travel time for him to defend his base. You're making it easier on him if you do that. So definitely do not attack the natural right now. It's time to attack the third for sure. Because it's further out and it's easier for you to disengage as well. And it's just more likely you're going to kill the command center if you go for the third now. So we'll see how you do it. And look at the minimap. You're moving in too early. So what's happening is you're throwing your army away now. So this would be the time to fucking disengage with your main army, 100%. And then let your drop just do more damage. So you can't predict always what your opponent's going to do. They're a human being. They can do different things. But you don't want to take a fight right now. That's the last thing you want to do is because you're playing a style that is killing workers and crippling him to then kill him later. You're not trying to kill him right now because if you were, this drop would be here and you'd be trying to fight his army with your full army. So you're not trying to take an army fight right now. It's the last thing in the world you want to do because you're not ready for it yet. You're working on his economy because you're splitting your army up. So, which is great. You should be doing that. But if you don't disengage this army right now, you're killing yourself. And you're stutter stepping into him. That's not the time to stutter step into him. Get the fuck out of there. Okay, you didn't take a lot of losses there yet. But get like boost and get the fuck out now. Like leave. If you fight this again right now, you're gonna lose this fight. Like stim pack. You need to, in the future, stim to run, okay? Don't ever run without stimming. It's so you're gonna lose so many units if you don't stim to run. And now over here, he committed to fighting you at his natural, so there's not much in his main. And again, you're kind of doing the same thing here. You're fighting his marauders and you're fighting near a tank. Definitely don't do that. This is the time to get the fuck away from the tank. You're trying to kill SCVs, not army. Stop trying to kill army here. The best thing you could do here would be stim pack down the mineral line, kill all the SCVs, and then either you have two choices now, I would say realistically, if he's not going to come defend this. Number one, kill this. Kill double engineering bays, knock his upgrades out. You'll fucking literally win the game if you do that because you'll make him 1-1 forever while you're going on to like 3-3 because you're resetting this, which is huge for him. That sucks if that happens. You could do that, or because it's just opportunity because they're right here, or you could load up and go right to his natural. If his army's going to be over here chasing you like this, disengage and just fucking hit his natural now. Kill SCVs here too. Kill his economy more instead of just fighting tanks and stuff in his main as well. And this just needs to get the fuck out since he's chasing you. Like if you have to, literally go home all the way and group up with the new army.
Daniel?
Okay, I love that you disengage from the tank. Killing a command center is not bad. It's okay. The chances of you actually killing it though are really low because you lost all your Marines. So all he has to do to counter this is lift it and it's never going to die.
Mineral field depleted.
And then you actually get off the command center and start shooting his bio.
Depleted.
That is a missed opportunity right there. That is a big missed opportunity. He didn't even lift it, and you just started shooting bio instead. Definitely have the intention to kill SCVs and anything economy. So the command center is like, I really would not have recommended to kill it because again, all you had is 2 Marines there at that point. But you could have killed it though. This guy would have let you do it if you actually just went for it, and now you didn't kill it. So that became a little bit more wasteful than it had to be, like the missed opportunity. But again, same thing. Like look at your macro during that. You're fucking crazy high. So it doesn't mean that you need to build buildings more often. It means that if we go back and watch your attack, go back to right when the attack started. Watch your production and watch your buildings in your base here. Like how often is everything being upkept and utilized? So your factory is doing nothing right now, which it's whatever. You don't have to use your factory with this. It's fine. You could, but It's fine. Like, look at all your bio, though. Look at all your racks. All down. Starport's only making half of what it could make. Still all down. Speed it up a little bit. Still all down. Everything's producing nothing. There we go. There's... You didn't even make a lot of units. You made 4 units out of a potential of 2, 3, 4, 10. Because you have racks that could make 8, and then you have Starport that could make 9, 10. So you're making 4 out of 10 possible units. Still making 4 out of 10 because you queued up Marauders, which are only making 2 at a time anyways. And there we go. There's a full round, but then it ends with your first round. And now you're not making units again out of like half your shit. And you're not making anything out of the Starport for a long time. And if you already feel like you have enough medevacs, that's fine. And you do have a good medevac count. But if you ever need to, if you're like, fuck, okay, this guy seems like he has a lot of shit, you're totally able to make like Liberators or something if you need to as well, instead of just making only medevacs and doing nothing with it otherwise. You could do that. Or you can make Vikings. When you eventually take a fight with him, Vikings could pop his medevacs. But you're doing nothing again with all the bio. All the barracks, doing nothing. There we go. They're utilizing again. So and now here's the thing. The fight's over now. This is when your bio died, and now you're actually macroing properly again. Because it's like actually queued up well. See what I mean, though? You got to definitely maximize your multitasking. And again, that's fucking hard, okay? That's not like, oh, just do it. And just do it. It's hard to do that. But you kind of fucked it up for a while. So you went up to like almost 3k resources. And then now you threw down like 10 more racks to try to make up the difference here. Or like 8 more. You made 8 more racks. But yeah, like which is fine. I'm okay with it that you made more racks like that so you can utilize it. But definitely want to make sure you're trying to keep up with it a little bit more smoothly instead of so jarring where it like drops off a cliff and then it just goes up a fucking mountain really fast with like production levels. And then your workers at your third base are all fucked up following a mule. A little bit rough. So the beginnings of what you're doing is good. And you could also be more consistent. So what I mean by that is you have a drop ready to go over here, but you could be using it faster. Like you could in theory be attacking the entire game if you got really comfortable with this. Like never having a break and always running your opponent around constantly until you realize, okay, this guy's economy sucks. And the way you know that is you keep tabs on like, okay, I wiped out a mineral line. Did I lose a mineral line? No. I wiped out another mineral line. Did I lose a mineral line? No. Okay, I wiped out another mineral line. Did I lose one? No. Okay, by like 12 minutes, I've probably killed like 45 SCVs and he's killed 0. And I'm still at like 78 SCVs in total. Like this guy's fucked and I'm about to hit 200 supply. How about I just go kill him now? Like that would totally make sense. Because there's no fucking way he would have the same supply as you if he's getting his economy that disrupted constantly. Like if you're at 200 supply and you just hit it and you macroed well to get there, he'd be probably like at 130. And you would just run his ass over. And then you don't have to play multitask heavy anymore. You could just run him down in his face and you would just win because you have superior numbers. Like heavily. And you could be doing attacks on the other side too. So you could be going from the top of his natural. You could be poking his third base. I love your scout. You could also be dropping like right here and hitting his third now. So if you were going to, for instance, take the fight here first, like up to the top, it doesn't always have to be in his main. You could shave off the outsides of his base too, because it's easy to disengage. So the thing I said earlier where it's like go from 10 and then go to 1 and then go to 10, maximum distance every time. You could go for shorter distances as well, which is fine, especially if it's really easy to disengage. So if you go here and here, that's definitely not 10 and 1. But I mean, those are his 2 newest expansions, and you could easily disengage with like load up your medevacs and fly this way. He can't chase you. Or load up your medevacs and fly this way. He can't chase you. You could easily be doing that too, back and forth, and ripping his economy into the ground. And this could be an option you could be doing as well because he has turrets all over the fucking main base. Another thing you could do is you could drop your bio here if you saw turrets like that. Walk your bio into the red zone on the low ground, stim pack, kill all the turrets from the low ground, and then load up once they're dead and drop in his main. You don't have to just boost through that every time if there's low ground possibility next to it. Now, if the map looked like that only, and there was like 5 turrets and the map was like that, obviously you can't boost into that. That would be the time to maybe think about maybe go somewhere else. Or boost into there with like 6 medevacs, not 1 or 2. See, like right there, you boosted him with like 2 medevacs and they just instantly died. And that fight would have gone a lot better if you would have cleared it from the low ground with that little bit of a medevac count. And then imagine this too, right? Think about this. If you had 2 medevacs here killing turrets and you got his attention this way, and then let's say he brings army down here to defend it, and he brings army back in the main to defend it, and then you have another army go over here and deny this base, completely exposed now. His base over here is completely exposed because you just didn't attack in his main. So you're good. You're capitalizing on it. That's fucking great. Now leave right away. This is not time to take a fight. It's time to get the fuck out. You denied his 4th base. That's great. Now leave before you lose your whole army. Yeah, you lost a bit. You stayed a little longer than you should, but at least you could have saved a good chunk of it. And now you're doing this. This is great. I fucking love it. He's not here anymore. You know why he's not here? Because he's here. You know why he's here? Because you just attacked there. You're doing a great job right now. This is going a lot better. Boost into this fucking base, drop all over his tank, and then progressively drop over the command center and shit. Kill as much as you can here, because this is a big drop. And then as you're doing this, start moving this back down to there again, because you know he's gonna watch his army. It's gonna come back and defend his base. This one's already on its way. He might leave this here if he's catching wind of what's going on and going, okay, you're multitasking me, so I'm gonna leave units around the map now. That's obviously what he should be doing. But at this point, if you have a big lead where you have more supply because you're just killing so many fucking workers, you've killed 29 workers now. Ideally, you should be macroing to a point to where you have more supply, which you do, which is great. And you could start, if you realize players start playing like this, just group your army, like have a little attack where it's like 2 medevacs going to a base, and then have a massive attack run over an army that's staggered. So you can completely switch your style of going, instead of everything's non-committal, now I'll just do a poke that still looks non-committal, which it will be, but I'll group up my entire fucking army and run over a part of his army here. So you could switch it in that gear to like that. That would fucking destroy him if he plays like this now. And he spreads out too far. Then you just collapse on one side. Good shit. That was a good fight. You took a nice fight there. But the only problem is you didn't do anything with it. That was just a solo isolated instance. That was one fight by itself. Like, this would be a good time to definitely start grouping up and start smashing them into the ground. And the reason why is because not only are you about to max out in your supply, you should be, honestly, because you're basically there and you're not really utilizing some of your racks. But he's starting to spread out heavily, so yeah, that would be a great time to start switching into that kind of a playstyle. Okay, so like right there, don't fucking drop that. You scanned it and you just did it anyways. He's got army there waiting for you. Do not drop. He's got turrets there too. That would be the time to go, okay, you know what? Drop that. So that's exactly what I talked about before we started this lesson. Remember how I said, don't just force it to happen. You can do an attempt and go, oh, he's ready there. Let's go somewhere else. Oh, he's already there. Let's go somewhere else. Okay, and like the 3rd or the 4th time, there's a chance it will be open now, and then you commit to it. So that's not forcing. That's like actually taking advantage of what you have. So if he's got army here, here's something you could do. What if you took this army that you just dropped here instead and dropped it here and poked this base, and then at the same time, if he's got army here and he's got army here, you could poke this and go, okay, well, he's got army here too. So he's got army here and here. How about I take my main army now and poke here, the other side? And you could know then, if he's got army fucking everywhere, if you have a little bit, like 2 medevacs worth of units, which is only 20 supply, and he's got like 30, 40 supply, 40 supply, 40 supply. You could have like 20 supply and 100 supply versus 3 sets of 40. Does that make sense? So you could just like run the fucking one chunk over with the majority of your blob. Again, where the location that he's not currently actively at. So there's a chance it might even be open. But if it's not, there's a good chance you're going to run it over. And this is when you should be scanning a lot like this, like you are, to go, could I beat that? You totally could beat that if you had your army like completely grouped up and it wasn't so staggered. Like this will honestly, and now he's coming over here to defend it, right? And I think you even see it with your medevacs.
Mineral field.
It's on.
Okay, you're dropping over here. This is fine. You're creating an opening. So you have a blob here now, and you're trying to go for an opening here. Now he comes to defend it. And you're not engaging now with this army again.
Add on.
So you're missing, like, don't try to play the conservative style the entire game. Try to play the conservative style until you have an advantage, and then play I'm going to kill you style. Once you have good economy, and you can just remax, literally crash his fucking base down with blobs of bio, and run him over, and try to, like, lure a lot of units out of the fight so that your big blob can kill not as big of a blob from him. And if you kill, like, half of his army, and then the other half comes over, the chance of you winning that fight, if you have, like, 4/5 of your army here, is really high.
Complete.
And like right there, you're fighting the majority of his army. You're fighting tanks on both sides and a bio in the middle. And you're fighting a better composition because you're fighting tanks as well as bio. But now if we look at like the main base, it's got a lot of turrets and shit, but you know, not many units there. Nothing here. Nothing, or I mean, there's units here, but like you could in theory drop the back of his mineral line, right? You just got to try to find openings. And this is when the game gets to a point too where if you can't end the game and it's just not really ending for you, you could always transition into something better too. And I'm actually going to recommend something to you right now that would be easy, okay? It's like less technical, more like it could just literally fucking end the game. One thing you could do that would be really, really, really strong, if the game turns into something like this where you're always trying to like find openings and you're not really finding them as much as you want, you could genuinely make like 3 starports and a second armory, okay? And you could put all these starports that you make into tech labs, and you can make a fusion core. And you could continuously drop and run around the map and try to do damage wherever you can. And you could start slowly transitioning your army into battlecruisers with double upgrades off of armory. And then once you get to a point, if you're like 2 BCs and you have like 12 BCs, if he's got a bunch of tanks and a bunch of medevacs and some bio and some marauder, and now you don't really have many marauder, marine, and medevac left yourself because a lot of your supply is now in BCs, you could genuinely be like, all right, well now I'm just going to fight you with BCs that are well upgraded versus just marines and medevacs and tanks. And you would insta win the game. And if you can starve out his economy by not letting him expand as fast because you're always poking him, it'd be a great way to transition the game for yourself if you just can't fucking break people like this and you're not finding the openings that you need to be finding. But you should still look for them and still try to use them and win the game off of that. But it's actually an interesting idea because you totally could win the game like that with BCs. And it would be a really easy way to do it too. Like easier than fucking breaking him with like Liberator, Tank, Micro, and Vikings and like trying to micromanage all that shit at the same time. It's going to feel hectic as fuck if you do that. BCs are kind of a move.
Okay.
How's it feel? How's everything sound?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you pointed out that I messed up the priority of the primary and the secondary.
Yep.
Because I remember in my mind I was like, I'm gonna use the Banshee to trigger him, and then I'm gonna focus on killing workers.
Uh-huh.
But it's not supposed to be done like that. It's supposed to be I need to micro my Banshee and then move the Helios.
Well, you got to think about it like this. Like you're right what you just said, but think about it like this in a really easy way. The Banshee has 2 jobs. The first job is killing SCVs. The second job is getting the attention of your opponent's army and being annoying. And the first job is not the biggest priority. Like you shouldn't be like disregarding the second job to do the first job where you go, okay, I'm going to kill SCVs and I'm going to get his army's attention, but I'm gonna do it by sacrificing my Banshee to kill one more SCV. Like, he's here, I'm just gonna kill that last SCV and die for it. When in reality, if you just hide when he gets there, you still accomplished getting him there, and you still killed SCVs while he was getting there. But now that he's there, you're still killing SCVs, just not with the Banshee. But it's still there because it's annoying as fuck, and you saved it, so it's not dead. And it's the same thing with medevacs, and the same thing with all that shit. You pulled him one way, and then you left to only come back again after he leaves again. Because if you do this really well, if you constantly like leave as they arrive, and then as soon as they leave again, you go back in again, and you keep doing this repeatedly, you will genuinely break people with your first fucking attack. Like, your Banshee Hellion could have honestly won the game if you microed that well. If, like, every time he goes up, you attack the SCVs. And every time he comes down, you attack the SCVs with Hellions. And then every time he goes up, you attack the SCVs with the Banshee. And then every time he goes down to do his natural, you attack the SCVs, blah, blah, blah. Like, repeatedly up and down, up and down. You always poke him in the back every time. All that would happen is this guy would eventually be like, oh my fucking god, everything's dying. And I'm just going to go all in now because I have like no SCVs anymore. And you like 3 Rax openers are not great versus Banshee Hellion. They just aren't. I'm not saying he guaranteed would die. He could still micro himself too. But if you microed it better, the way he was microing it, where he like was sending marauders at your Banshee, you definitely could have done more damage than you did. Like, he was being really lazy about it for a while. He wasn't pre-spreading his army and just dealing with both at the same time. He was going up, down, up, down. Like, he was sending everything everywhere. Like, always to one spot at a time. So definitely you could have done more damage there.
Okay. And then the other thing is I didn't macro well when I was poking, right?
And
Just a long time.
be like forgiving or like generous or whatever. Be okay with it if you fuck it up a little bit, because it is so hard to that is the hardest part of this game. Multitasking while you attack people. It will never stop, because the more you invest in a micro and the better you get at that, and the more attention you put into that, and the more you disrupt their base, the harder it is to manage your own at the same time. So it's never going to stop feeling difficult, but you will definitely get better at the game if you do it. Like, you'll just get like higher levels of gameplay as you progress through that. But like, obviously try to fix your macro as much as you can. But if you fuck it up sometimes and you're like, oh my god, I have so much money, just know that that's never going to go away. Like, you're going to fuck it up all the time, here and there. It's gonna inevitably happen to like everybody. Because the more you invest in the micro, the more that likely that's going to continue to happen as with your macro. Just try to always be on top of it as much as you can.
Okay. And I disengaged too slow, I guess. Sometimes I feel like I could win the fight, but I shouldn't think that way. I should think it of as gaining his attention and just.
Yeah, you should only try to win the fight when you've already won the economy battle. That's the only time you should win the fight. That's why I was saying you could have won the game if instead of playing disengage, 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 kill SCVs in the meantime all the time. That's like the first style you play with Banshee Hellion and with your drops. Once you guarantee, you're like, yep, I killed a lot of SCVs. Now I can play army killing style. Then you switch from disengaging to, hey, come over here, get your attention with like a little bit of my army, and then slam him at another base with all of your army, like the majority of it. Because if you have a better economy than he does, he can't keep up with you. And if you're macroing well, you can guarantee you're going to have more supply than he does. And if you have more supply than he does and you crash onto a base, the chances are high that you're going to win that fight.
Okay.
So that's when you should shift gears into like killing his army, essentially. Not before.
Okay.
All right, man.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. Any final questions? Or are you good? How you feeling? You good?
Yeah. Yeah. So for most maps, there's gonna be a dead zone at the end, like either the bottom right or something like that.
There's almost always dead space in the air around people's mains because that way it allows like all air units to be viable. Almost every map has stuff like that.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, bro, good luck again, and definitely I look forward to talking to you again and seeing how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. See you.
All right. Have a good one, man.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. that has been a coaching lesson with our boy Shangster. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a TvT Diamond level lesson on how to effectively multi-prong people, stuff like that. But thanks for watching, guys. Much love. I'll see you in the next lesson, analysis, whatever it might be. Good luck. And yeah, peace, guys. Have a good one.